In this episode, we will look at the conscious and subconscious parts of our brain to understand sabotage. I will break these two parts down so we can better understand why they sometimes contradict one another. The conscious part of your brain is the part that is reading or listening to this. Unless you're spaced out or distracted, you are using your conscious mind right now. The conscious mind is where you are intentionally directing your focus. When you read something inspirational, this part of your mind gets excited and wants to implement the change immediately. The conscious brain is everything inside of our current awareness. The subconscious part of our brain acts more like a database. It records and stores information. It loves what is familiar and works hard at keeping us safe and in our comfort zones. If we try to pivot away from these comfort zones, the subconscious brain quickly finds ways to stop this action in any way possible, sometimes without us being aware or conscious that it is happening. This is how and why sabotage occurs. To further understand the subconscious brain, we can compare it to the autopilot feature of your car. If you set the speed to 65 miles an hour, the car will stay here. If you go uphill and drop below 65, the autopilot will kick in and speed up until it gets back to 65 miles per hour. The same thing happens, obviously, if the car starts to go downhill or faster. It will automatically slow down until it gets back down to 65 miles per hour. You set the speed, and the vehicle is programmed to regulate that speed. We do the same thing with our beliefs. We program our beliefs and observations into the autopilot of the subconscious brain. Let's say we decided to create a belief that there are no good men or women in our area. We may not want that to be true, but for whatever reason, we bought into it. Now that is set into our mind's autopilot. We can now go about our day knowing that the subconscious mind will regulate this belief for us. As soon as we get excited about meeting someone good, the subconscious mind will kick in and remind us that there are no good people for us. It can and usually does sabotage any chance of things working out, thinking it's protecting us from the pain of further disappointment. Does this belief serve us? Absolutely not. This belief is detrimental to meeting new people, creating new opportunities, and eventually finding a great partner. So why did we believe this in the first place? Why was it programmed in, and why would we believe something that goes against what we desire? This belief, like most beliefs, can be formed in so many ways. Maybe you had a few bad experiences and the only explanation you like is that the guys and girls in this area aren't for you. Or you live in a place where people talk about the scarcity of good men or women and you decide this must be true. These conveniently take the pressure off and allow you to stay in your comfort zones. Or maybe you never really consciously believed this. You just heard it enough and formed a belief without even being aware of it. Repetition is one of the best belief builders, so be mindful of what the people around you say. Make sure you don't absorb other people's beliefs because the repetition of just hearing something we are or are not necessarily attached to can create a belief. These can stay with us and form behaviors moving forward. Sadly, most of our beliefs do not serve us and aren't even true. The subconscious mind doesn't have the critical thinking ability to say whether a belief is true or not. Once we wholeheartedly believe something, a neuron is fired. After a neuron is fired, the powerful subconscious mind seeks out ways to prove that this belief is true. Our mind then creates blinders to anything that contradicts the newly installed belief. A great example of how these blinders work is if you've ever been interested in a particular car, truck, or van. Suddenly you see these everywhere. Are there more on the road now that you've noticed them? That's not what's happening. What's happening is you've alerted the subconscious mind that you are interested in these. It is now the job of the subconscious mind to bring these to your attention while mostly ignoring the other vehicles. The same thing happens when you create a new belief. Let's say your sibling calls you stupid. You may not think twice about believing them because they always say things like this. But then, one day, someone you admire or hold in high regard tells you that you're stupid. You have a decision at that moment to either believe them or disregard them. If you do buy into what they say is truth, you're likely to set that neuron and try to prove that right. You will most likely start to talk yourself into that belief with questions like, it must be right. This person knows better, and maybe I am stupid. I feel stupid right now. Then, moving forward, just like the vehicles on the road, you will notice when you do something stupid, but tend to ignore when you would do things that would prove otherwise. These are the blinders the subconscious sets up. So how do we know what we believe? Some beliefs are obvious, but sometimes we are unaware of the debilitating beliefs we have programmed in. The best way to become aware is by either listening to the voice in your head or by asking the people around you, what phrases and complaints do you tend to repeat? Some examples of this dialogue when it is negative and sabotaging your life can sound a bit like this. It's cold outside. You don't need to work out now. It's too early. We need rest. We deserve rest. I am so unlucky. Everything always goes wrong. If I look at that cake, I'll gain 10 pounds. Just eat the junk food. You've had a bad day and you deserve it. You worked out hard, so you deserve to eat whatever you want. Who do you think you are? You can't manage your own business. Why do you think you deserve more money? I'll always struggle with money. You're not that smart. You are not worthy of love. This is too hard. That thing I want is terrifying. There are no good men or women left. They're all taken. I am not enough. I need to do more to be enough. If I had blank, then I could be happy. This dialogue can be whiny, very convincing, and incredibly frustrating. Consciously, you may not believe most of the stuff you hear yourself say, especially when it's mean and doesn't align with who you wish to be. But somewhere on your journey, you decided to believe this crap on some level. So even if you choose something different now, that old belief is still stored in that database and comes out when you try to implement change without reprogramming the database. I've heard this inner dialogue name many different things: ego, the devil, the mean person, and many more. But who or what is talking? You are talking. This is you. This is us. This inner voice is the subconscious mind. It repeats what it knows and believes to be true. Remember, it's doing its best to protect you. That is the job of the subconscious mind. So if you deviate from any particular belief, the subconscious mind has to regulate, just like the autopilot feature in your car. It will regulate using whatever sabotaging behavior it can come up with. Fighting with this inner dialogue is a waste of our energy. That's why it's silly to name it. When we name it, we somehow make it something different from ourselves. Then we fight with it, trying to change it that way. But can you yell at your documents stored on your computer to change them? Well, maybe you can yell at Siri now, but fighting with these makes no sense. We have to change the program and change the documents that you created. So how do we change the program? How do we get from autopilot to action? How do we stop that sabotage? The good news is you made your beliefs, so you can also change them. We do have choices. We have more control than we realize. We are responsible for how and what we think. There are many ways to override the sabotage and change our beliefs. There are tools such as meridian tapping, NLP, cognitive programs, and inner child work, just to name a few. I will create many of these tools and have them available on my website at mindfullybeinghuman.com. I also have a YouTube channel that I create free content on. But what can you do right now? One strategy is to first become aware of what you say and then question. Why am I saying this? Do I really believe this? When did I learn this? Who taught me this? Did they know everything? Is this what I want to believe? Was this ever true? When you question your deep-seated beliefs, it helps make them more unstable. This is then a perfect opportunity to create and say the thoughts you'd rather the subconscious repeat in your head. The mind can then plant new neurons to test out the new thoughts. It took time to prove the negative beliefs, so be patient while waiting for the growth to occur from the new positive seeds. Just keep questioning the negative ones and affirming the new ones. Repetition is the key to changing beliefs. Another strategy is to journal. Start writing all the sabotaging behaviors you catch yourself doing and see if you can spot a pattern. See what belief started that pattern. then question the validity of those beliefs. These 2 strategies can help implement real change. And if you do these while also becoming more present and aware, you can change the direction your life is heading. Becoming more present in our daily lives can be challenging. A great way to make sure we take the time to be present is to set alarms on our phones. When these go off, we can have a ritual to slow down the breath, breathe through the nose, and become aware of our body and what we are thinking at that moment. If our thoughts are negative or do not serve us, this is the time to question them and make them unstable. We can then create better thoughts and think about what we want in our lives. Also, if you find yourself daydreaming about stuff you are afraid of, disappointed with, or frustrated with, you can ask yourself immediately, does this get me to where I want to be? Or is this keeping me where I am? I have caught myself dwelling on issues in my head. As soon as I become aware that I am daydreaming about something negative, I immediately ask myself, is this what I want to think about? Or should I consciously think about something more productive, something that aligns with who I wish to be? There may be times when you want to dwell, and honestly, that's okay. We are human. If you feel like staying in the negative, ask yourself, how long am I willing to stay here? Know that this is a conscious decision to dwell. It creates way more internal power within. Life isn't always easy, so give yourself a break and be patient as you learn more about your beliefs, patterns, emotions, and habits. We are here on this planet to learn, grow, and become better versions of ourselves collectively. Sabotage can be defeated. Most of us have tried the willpower route, and sometimes it works, but it usually adds frustration, which can leave us feeling helpless. We have more power within than we give ourselves credit for. By understanding our minds, we can change for the better, one day at a time. Incremental change leads to huge results.